Hi folks, this video is on using Pythagoras' theorem to find the shorter side of a right angle triangle. So far we've looked at, in a right angle triangle, we can find the hypotenuse, the length of the hypotenuse, by using the formula c squared equals a squared plus b squared. Now bear in mind that c is always the hypotenuse, which is always the longest side. However, if we want to work out one of the shorter sides, we are going to have to rearrange this formula. So we're going to be looking at a variation of this formula, which we'll be using if we're trying to work out one of the shorter sides. Okay, so there's our rearranged formula. A squared is equal to c squared minus b squared. Note that c in this case is still the hypotenuse, so the labelling of the triangle is not changed. It's just the order of the equation that's changed. Remember that a and b, we can actually name them either way around. What we are going to be doing in all the examples we do, we'll call the unknown side, if it's one of the shorter sides, we'll call that side A. Okay, so moving on to a couple of examples. This would be good to copy into your jotter as we go through this. So example 1, calculate the length of A. So in this example, I've already labelled the triangle for you, A, B and C. And all we need to do is use this new formula to work out the unknown side A. So the first thing we do is we set up our equation. So for one of the shorter sides, when we're working out a shorter side of a right angle triangle, we use the variation of the Pythagorean formula, which is a squared equals c squared minus b squared. Okay, so this is because we're not working out the hypotenuse in this case, we're working out one of the shorter sides. From here, note that we don't know what a is, so I'll keep that as a squared, but we know that c is 5, so that's 5 squared, and that b is 3, minus 3 squared. So from there, similar to what you've done before, you'll reach for your calculator. And in your calculator, all you need to do is type exactly what you see there. So we can do 5 squared. Yeah, I'll just change this to scientific mode. So 5 squared minus 3 squared. And you see my answer comes out to be 16 when I do that. So a squared is 16. And I would recommend that you try this in your calculator as well. Just make sure you get the same answer as I get here. Okay, so to find a, we use the square root of 16. So if I go back to my calculator, I'm going to do the square root, which gives me 4. Your calculator may be slightly different. You may need to write the square root of 16 in that order, just depending on the calculator you're using. But just double check that you can use your calculator and get from the square root of 16 to 4. And in this case, my units are centimetres. So therefore the missing side is 4 centimetres. Example 2. Might be worthwhile pausing the video, having a wee go at example 2 yourself. See how you got on, and then you can check with my solution afterwards. So in this example, I have not labelled the sides for you yet, so we're going to have to do that first. Now, the first side I'm going to label is always the hypotenuse, because I can always tell where the hypotenuse is because the right angle points to it. So this is going to be my hypotenuse, which is C. Now, I have a choice for A and B, can be either of the other two sides. Now, the missing side I'm going to call side A, just so we can keep our formula in the same order. So the missing side for one of the shorter sides, I'm going to call that A, and then I'll call the side that I know B. Now, what we need to do is identify, right, we're not working out the hypotenuse here because we know the hypotenuse, so we're working out the shorter side, so we use the formula a squared equals c squared minus b squared. Okay, so putting in my numbers now, a squared is equal to 15 squared minus 8 squared. I'll move over to my calculator and I'll put 15 squared minus 8 squared gives me 161. So a squared is 161. Now, a common thing people do at this point is they forget to square root at this point. So we need to go and work out what a is now. So a is the square root of 161. So back to my calculator, I do the square root of that, which is 12.68857. So I'll write the first few numbers here. Now, note that I didn't notice at the very start, but what we should just note is that we're asked to give our answer to 2 decimal places. If it says that, then that suggests to me that my answer is going to be not a very nice whole number, which is what I got. So I got a big, massive, long decimal number. So that's a nice wee example to show you when you might expect to have less nice numbers. So from that, we need to write out the first few decimal places, and then after that, we're going to round our answer to 2 decimal places. So a, therefore, is 12.69, because that second 8, which is the second decimal place, or the 8, which is the second decimal place, rounds up to a 9 because of the 8 after it. So 12.69 is my answer. And that is in millimetres, so I'll put my units there as well. Okay, so what I recommend you do is try the 2 examples again. Might be worthwhile seeing if you can do them without the solution in front of you, if you can remember how to do it. If you're feeling pretty confident, you can move on to the practice questions. And again, if you have any issues, just let your maths teacher know.